reality, what is it that is real? There is a swiftness in communication that allows one to experience multiple locations very consecutively, but in that consecutive pattern there is an instant of recognition. What that means is I will throw something in the air, and even though gravity will bring it down, I will have seen that and known that in an instant. And you ask me, if I threw something in an instant, the knowing is there. So the nature of the mind is giving an instant feedback to an awareness of cause and effect. And this awareness to a cause and effect is taking the projection of the spectrum and is saying that any possibility is possible, any impossibility is to a possibility. So we are now seeing the fabrication of the world as the direct experience, and there's an untouchable and unspeakable element to it, that which is the divinity of the birthright of your omniscient being remembering itself. And of course, man does talk a lot, so but words are needed to shake the worlds that are not evolving as much as man should be. Everything is communicating to you. The world is a beautiful pattern. Once you observe its movement, you are part of it. The intelligence is not separate. You access the grid of consciousness not as some playful thing which you're reading online, but you begin to understand the grid of how your ideology is kept for you, how your ideology has a certain architecture, how there's a design to every thought that comes into view, to every sound being spoken, and if the frequency of this voice has brought this tone to make it a symphony of all that I know. Lead had always led itself to gold. And alchemy beyond words. But the words allow it. They are the catalyst. And so if a young man a few years ago just had a dream where a certain name came to him, he may have wondered how the delivery of the unconscious to the conscious works, but in that consideration, a profundity of depth was thrown, as if Andromeda had spoken and Earth was just the echo. The pleasantness in our realization is that we must have an ability to confront ourselves alone. And what that means is we will speak to all the companions that we have kept, and we will see they will remain silent. The world will remain silent. The world will become still. The mystic will find himself alone. But in that loneliness, there is the liberation of a free soul. But names too cannot capture the beauty of them. They can only inspire great directions towards it. What Mr.Within finds very fascinating is that when you wake up in the morning, you are experiencing stuff. And this natural experiencing thing does something on its own. So at some point in my life, I just began to look at it and I was like, all right, I'm this intelligent existential life system, right? I'm alive, I'm this life form. Let me see what I naturally do before I think. What is happening? And as I began to see, I see it's as if every time before we think of a new idea, there is an emptiness there. But because we're in such a habit of constantly thinking that we're thinkers and we got a to-do list and we got a to-be list and we got all this stuff to do, we forget that in all those errands, there was an error. And that error was a lack of awareness to the simplicity of the self. For the self is a presence beyond personality. One's self-inquiry has struck the real, like the wondrous gaze of Zeus. A lightning in the dark, a truth beyond a God. God was all that is. So the truth is beyond all that is. And so in that revelation, God, or the experience you have with God, is not just the word, it's not just the shape. It has become everything that is present in your moment, because your valuation has come with the sincerity and the vitality of how you're alive in this moment. It's as if the minute a man just, after you dodge something where, you know, you could have gotten hit by a car, you dodge the car and you're just standing there in that block, you think, wow, where was my mind at when in an instant life was so fragile? We must be very grateful for the moment we have, and we must see that every expression is a contribution to humanity, but we are a conscious ability to develop a method of our own views into a view that humanity can use. We are recalibrating knowledge to direct experience, and so a new renaissance of every idea that suggested an individual sense of modality will shift into a collective, dynamic pattern. And this pattern, it seems like a pattern because how the consciousness will go towards it, but it is beyond linear duplication. So we cannot try to copy it or try to experimentally understand it. We are the experimentation. We are the presence. We are all that the projection is projecting. So the only project you needed to do is to see the nature of space and time, and not to find an answer to a problem that never needed to be there. But to breathe and be and flow as all that is seen. Much blessings, and namaste.